Welcome, family, to our monthly virtual conference. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbee. I'm glad to have everyone tuning in. I need you all to do me a favor. First, hit that like button, then hit that subscribe button, and share this video podcast on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, and any other social media that you are on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This video podcast is available in 3 forms: audio, video, and as a written text in order for us to reach our audience. I encourage all of my listeners to please follow me on my Medium page so that you can have access to this transcript and all of my sources. To find my Medium page, just go to my YouTube page, and next to my photo on the far right side, it says More Links. Click on it and scroll down until you find my Medium page. Then click on it and look for the exact title of this presentation. Those of you who are serious about doing business with me, then send me your email address to my Facebook inbox, and I will email you everything that I do online. We host our virtual conference every last Saturday of the month until we are able to raise funds for our film project, which is Hood Liberator Made in Chicago. The War Against Willie Lynch Begins. This is a solution-based docudrama based on my experience growing up in the inner cities of Chicago. It's also based on my revised book, and also the reason why I created the grassroots community activist movement. This is our Black Panther moment, except it's not owned by Disney, it's owned by GRCAM members. Join our crowdfunding on our GoFundMe page or on our PayPal page for this historic film project. The donations will help with our marketing campaign, production, and legal expenses to make this docudrama. What made the Black Panther movie successful? When you look at the Black Lives Matter movement and the killing of Michael Brown, we can go on and on. So Black Americans start marching and protesting in the streets. This inspired many Black youth to become conscious of our fate in America. Marvel Studios and Walt Disney decided to capitalize off of Black Americans' frustration by putting out a Black Panther movie, a movie that made Black people proud to be ourselves. I must admit, it was the best film that I have ever seen. Disney knew that the time was right as Black Americans march in the streets against police brutality. This movie, for many of us, represented a win for us. It was a defining moment. We all wanted to be in that Wakanda environment. We didn't make any money from the film. It made $1 billion worldwide. I repeat, it made $1 billion worldwide. I was saddened that the film was not produced by a Black-owned production company. What made the movie a success was the commercials and the sales of West African dashikis. Black Panther on social media was free promotion. I would love to see us put that same energy behind this Black-owned film. Black Panther was well put together. There are certain things about Black culture and Black liberation that were dropped in the movie. It depicts Black people in a positive light. Let's take advantage of the Black Panther effect. These multinational corporations are creating productions to cash in on the Black experience. The condition of our people has not changed. The Black Panther movie belongs to them, not us. This film project belongs to GRCAM members. We must use the Black Panther movie as motivation and inspiration. What was brilliant about the movie was that it gave us a very powerful picture of what our unity could look like if Black Americans and African immigrants in America work together as a team. Our condition will never change unless we unite with other like-minded Black Americans and other like-minded African immigrants. I don't want to be doing this another 32 years. We have a lot of material to cover, but before I go into my presentation, I would like to encourage everyone on my Facebook friends list, which is 1,952 people. Please join the grassroots community activist movement. You don't have to live in the Black ghettos to be part of us. You don't have to live in the United States of America to be part of us. All I ask is that you purchase my revised book, quote, The Solution for Black America, Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America, second edition, and read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan for Black America, then make arrangements with me to come on this platform so that we can talk about it and get others involved. Also, donate what you can towards our film project. My book is on my Amazon author page, and it's available in two forms. The ebook for $9.99 and the paperback for $15 plus shipping and handling. I also have items on our virtual store to help raise funds for our film project. We have renewed our GoFundMe page. It will be used as an indicator of our progress towards getting this film project fully funded and made. We're using crowdfunding so that everyone knows where the money will be used for. We're asking that you donate what you can. We aim to raise $250,000 for starters. If you are a U.S. citizen, then you can donate through our PayPal giving fund. You can use this as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit, faith-based, and community advocacy organization. So far, only one person have donated towards our film project on our PayPal page. Minister Angelita Sunday. Shout out to that sister. Anyone on my Facebook friends list that's not interested in our cause, then delete me from your friends list and don't come to any events with my name on it. And that's real. For those of you who are serious about being a part of this film project, you can find all the links below this video podcast in the comment section. I have invested 32 years of my life trying to connect with other like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants. I refuse to be ignored. All I have is my revised book, my virtual store, this online platform, and my social groups. This film project is my last attempt to try to do something positive for my racial group here in America before I cut and run to Africa. The purpose for me doing all of this is to gather like-minded Black Americans and like-minded African immigrants in America to work with me in building a Black institution for our Black youth and their families in Chicago for credibility, to let the Black world know who we are and what we're trying to achieve before we expand to the African continent. Lord knows I would like to do more than just news and social commentaries, but without financial support, from the Black grassroots and the global African family, then I am unable to do my God-given assignment, and that is to build the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. This is a Nehemiah assignment. I encourage all of my international friends in my African group, GRCAM of Africa, even if you are unable to participate in this event, please watch the replay, leave a public comment about it on my YouTube page, and share it with all of your friends on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. I encourage all of my Christian friends in my Christian groups, Light of the World Inspirational Group and Christian Spoken Word Network. Even if you are unable to participate in these events, please watch the replay, leave a public comment about it on my YouTube page, and share it with all of your friends on all social media sites that you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. I encourage all of my supporters in my secular groups, GRCAM of Chicago and New Black Voices of Media, etc. Even if you are unable to participate in this event, please watch the replay, leave a public comment about it on my YouTube page, and share it with all of your friends on all social media sites you are on. This will help get the ball rolling. I would like to personally thank Minister Stephanie M. Seaton and Mr. Furman Jackson Jr. for allowing me to come on their platform to promote my vision and plan for Black America and Africa. Those of you who have large platforms, please allow me to come on your platform so that I can promote my vision and plan for Black America and Africa. I am calling on African immigrants within the United States of America from 10 African nations: South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, Angola, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and Nigeria. We will bring the best of the diaspora to each African nation so that we can set up local chapters and do international trade among our people. We will reconnect Black entrepreneurs with African entrepreneurs, Black artists with African artists. In this Christian business, our objective is to heal from enslavement and colonization. GRCAM will take the lead in solving Black issues within the United States of America before we expand to Africa, the Caribbean, and Brazil. The title of this presentation: Putting the Black World on Notice. GRCAM members worldwide, stand up and help me get our film project fully funded and made so that I can do my job. And solving diaspora conflict by pointing out anti-Black American sentiment from African immigrants and Afro-Caribbeans in America. Our first topic: putting the Black world on notice. GRCAM members worldwide, stand up and help me get our film project fully funded and made so that I can do my job. I'm not getting pushback from white America. I am getting pushback from Black America. Let's keep it a buck. None of my family members will be part of my business because a majority of them are full of Willie Lynch. They won't buy my revised book. They won't buy items from my virtual store. Instead, they tell me to get a real job. That's code for just work for the man and leave all that Black stuff alone. I ain't trying to hear that. I know what my purpose is. I don't like what is happening in Black America, and I plan on doing something about it through my Christian business before I cut and run to Africa. This is not business as usual. For me, this is personal, and I'm putting the Black world on notice. This is why I am online to broadcast my vision and plan in hopes of connecting with like-minded Black Americans, like-minded African immigrants, like-minded Afro-Caribbeans, and like-minded Afro-Latinos. It's important for GRCAM members in America to step up so that we can get this film project fully funded and made. Then we can began building GRCAM Chicago for credibility among the African American community and the African immigrant community before we launched our African tours and our Caribbean tours. We aim to make an economic impact in the inner cities of Chicago by establishing more Black businesses and creating jobs for our Black youth through our Black empowerment films, our Black entrepreneurship programs, and so on. We aim to become a one-stop shop for local residents, Black artists, Black entrepreneurs, and African entrepreneurs. We will host webinars, seminars, and workshops for our students and members on such topics like real estate, financial literacy, community safety, etc. We'll offer a food pantry to help feed those in our community, affordable child care, tutoring services. In other words, GRCAM Chicago will be a multi-purpose facility. It's my hope that our Christian business will become the heart of the African American community and the African immigrant community. We're not a social justice agency. We're an economic development space. Over here, we are not going to be out marching and protesting. We're focusing on building Black institutions for the African American community and the African immigrant community. We will focus on the economic side and the two-way pipeline of trade, such as food, music among the urban communities in Chicago and in the urban African areas and the rural areas on the continent. The African American community is depleted of a tax base. We have high unemployment, low marriage rates, which means we have less disposable income to launch businesses, and our educational institutions are not Black owned. In order to bring about social change within the African American community, we have to form an alliance with the African immigrant community and heal collectively from the scars of enslavement and colonization through education, enduring international trade, exports and imports, made in America and made in Africa. Products coming into the state of Illinois, creating Black entrepreneurships and African entrepreneurships through GRCAM Chicago. Our Black politicians only want to focus on social justice issues in America. They're supposed to be policy makers, putting the needs of the community first, but as I explained to my members, a majority of these career Black politicians are in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. Their job is to undermine the African American community. For example, I found a video clip on YouTube from Forbes, breaking news, entitled, quote, Chicago citizens speak at a city council meeting about a proposal to spend $70 million more on migrants, unquote. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson continues to betray the residents of Chicago by asking for $70 million to fund migrants. He's not doing nothing for Black Chicagoans or other Chicago residents. Instead, his priority is on assisting illegal immigrants. Chicago is dealing with a migrant crisis that no resident asked for. But we understand the policies of the Democrat Party. Well, Mayor Brandon Johnson wants more money for migrants, not more money for American citizens. As I stated before, this is not a Brandon Johnson problem. This is a Democrat policy problem. If you vote out Brandon Johnson and vote in another Democrat, we're still going to be dealing with the same issues. I don't see how anyone in their right mind would re-elect Biden at this point. None of these migrants voted for Biden. No country in the world would be facilitating this. Every other country would be like, hey, you didn't come here the right way. You got to go because you're violating our laws. If any American citizen violate the law, then they would end up going to prison. For Brandon Johnson to ask for more money in the millions of dollars, but check this, when we say we need reparations for the descendants of American slaves, then all of a sudden these politicians is like they don't have money for that. When we talk about reparations, these career politicians want to deflect. When we point out how these white supremacist financial elites obtain their wealth from slave labor, but get an attitude when we demand reparations. Most billionaires got their money from inherited wealth, government subsidies, tax loopholes, or from labor exploitation. I remember taking a class in college. I learned that there are 5 ways to become a billionaire. They are as follows: being a monopoly, inside trading, political corruption, fraud, and inheritance. The American dream is rigged because it only benefits white Americans. For example, Elon Musk has access to $180 billion, while black farmers are underfunded by design. Elon Musk's business is properly funded because he receives government subsidies to fund his electric vehicles as tax credit. In contrast, black farmers have been suing the U.S. government for decades in order to obtain government subsidies they're supposed to receive like other Americans. We've been told that illegal immigrants are hardworking. These construction companies won't hire black men. They prefer to hire illegal immigrants because they don't have to pay their medical insurance and their cheaper labor than American citizens. Economic warfare is happening in Black America. The next generation is not prepared. It's up to GRCAM members, which is the Black Grassroots and the Global African Family, to get this film project fully funded and made so that we can build GRCAI of Chicago. I think there should be a balance between social justice issues and economic development. No urban community in the United States should be broke when we have an entire continent and African immigrants that's already here. My goal for creating my African group, GRCAI of Africa, is to tap into building an alliance with African immigrants in America so that we can do business in America and on the continent, but we will weed out those who mean us no good. Black sellouts, off-code Negroes. Over here, we are raising the bar. This is what I want to be remembered for, trying to build something positive for the African American community and the African immigrant community. Africa has African entrepreneurs, human capital, and most of all, influence. This will help all parties involved with moving forward. As president of GRCAM, I encourage GRCAM members think about thinking in terms of ownership. In my business, We will focus on the importance of financial literacy and for us to practice group economics in real time. That will get us out of poverty as a collective. When Black people saying we shall overcome someday or kumbaya, the white supremacist financial elite sees that as us being beggars. They owe Black Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Latinos, and continental Africans reparations because they have stole our wealth, and this is why we are in the condition we are in today. Black Americans have been marching and protesting for the past 60 years, begging them for freedom, justice, and equality. And, that's not working. Over here, I encourage my members to demand from these career politicians to give us our due, which is reparations to descendants of American slaves, and also for us to demand an anti-Black hate crime bill if they want our vote. Our for-profit portion of the business will focus on owning and controlling our own community grocery store, community healthcare clinic, and community housing. We will also create a distribution commerce hub so that our members and students can benefit economically from this business. In other words, I want to create a global supply chain in Chicago and across the United States of America, as well as in Africa, the Caribbean, and in Brazil. GRCAM is a real movement that is not a Mickey Mouse operation. I encourage our international audience to get involved with this film project as well. If we lose Africa, ladies and gentlemen, we lose everything. In GRCAM Chicago, we're not going to talk only about culture, but also about STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. It's my hope that GRCAM Chicago and GRCAM Africa will become an innovative hub for Black entrepreneurship and technology. It's my hope that GRCAM of Chicago would launch African tours and Caribbean tours and attract new talent and new businesses that would be interested in partnering with us, as well as doing international trade with us from the continent into these urban communities, starting in the city of Chicago. And that would help turn around the African American community. Our focus, again, would be on owning and operating franchises in Africa, the Caribbean, and Brazil. GRCAM Chicago would make an impact not only locally by hiring our youth to work, teaching our members and students about entrepreneurship, ownership, and most importantly, having a tax base. We will have Black Americans not only visiting Africa and getting to know the locals, the language, the food, the culture, and how things work and operate, but also interested in doing business in Africa and in the Caribbean. When it comes to Black Americans, continental Africans, Afro-Caribbeans, and Afro-Latinos, we have to learn how to work together as a team so that we can move forward together if we're going to be competitive and be taken seriously in the 21st century. The question remains, how can we continue to allow Arabs, Chinese, East Indians, or Europeans to come to the African continent and buy up the block and build wealth on our continent? Because we still have an old mindset. We need to shift our mindset and see ourselves in a different light. These other groups are able to come into our community because they are on code with each other. All of the principles in my revised book is the code for GRCAM members That's why it's very important, if you're serious about doing business with me and being a GRCAM member, purchase the book and read my story for yourself. GRCAM Chicago will provide our members and students with a support system and resources that need to help them reach their life goals. The grassroots community activist movement objective is to get in a better position financially so that we can offer economic tangibles to our members in America and eventually in Africa, the Caribbean, and in Brazil. Our focus on the business side is to promote global trade, investment, and education between sub-Saharan Africa and the inner cities in Chicago. And hopefully, God's willing, it can expand throughout the United States of America in terms of in the different inner cities. This is why it's important for us to support this film project. Since the Civil Rights era, a majority of Black Americans have become Americanized to the point that a majority of our people care less about the community, the Black youth, because we're on this individualistic mentality or being narcissist behavior. That's part of the reason why America is struggling today. Our people have bought into the idea that I don't need the community. I'm independent, yet a majority of Black Americans are working for the man or someone else instead of working for ourselves and providing jobs for our youth in the African American community. GRCAM is about making sure our members are able to obtain a quality of life through our programs and services that will benefit both the African American community and the African immigrant community. And eventually, on the African continent, we can't just blame the Europeans. We have to examine ourselves. Africa have the resources under their feet, but they don't have the means of production. In GRCAM, we want to help Africans become competitive force throughout the world instead of being seen as beggars. The diaspora will help Africans to become productive and create factories so that together our people will become productive to grow and feed ourselves without depending on foreign aid from the West. Africa has fertile land. When we look at the Mali Empire, it was a slave-based empire. Our ancestors sold our people, but they were sold as indentured servants until the Europeans arrived to our shores and began to take advantage of what was happening. If you examine European history, during the Dark Ages, they had nothing going on until they came to Africa. Because of the slave trade that our ancestor made with the Europeans selling, our people and thinking everything was fine is the reason why Africa is suffering today. It was wrong, and if we lose Africa again, we lose everything. So our battle is for Africa. All I ask is for a chance. Starting this organization here in the city of Chicago. If Africa would receive my vision and plan, then we can turn Africa around without bloodshed, because we're going to be on one accord. All I ask is for a chance, starting in South Africa. Once we get it popping here in America first, I just want to mention that. The nature of capitalism is to exploit labor and to own land. Nowadays, Africans are exploiting each other. And when Black Americans come there, we usually fall victim of land scams. So we ain't going to have that in GRCAM. Like I say, we want to raise the bar. And if I find out that we have any con artists, we're going to put those people on the Judas list. And in other words, put them on blast. And we're going to make sure that we hold those persons accountable and get rid of them real with the quickness. Because we ain't having no con artists or scammers up in this business, and that's real, especially on my watch. We have a unique opportunity to pool our resources and to create a Black institution that will create a bridge between America and Africa that will have the capacity to solve our problems at the local level or grassroots level. I want to ensure all my listeners worldwide to please support our film project. Purchase my revised book and read my story for yourself. If you agree with my vision and plan for Black America, then make arrangements to come on this platform so that we can talk about it and encourage others to get involved. We have the ability to solve our own problems and create our own standards of excellence until we have the problems that need to be solved within the African American community. If you're an African immigrant, an Afro-Caribbean, or an Afro-Latino, I understand why you came to America. You want to have a better life and be able to provide for your family. I also know what you're up against in terms of racism, discrimination, lack of support of a support system. This is why I created the Grassroots Community Activist Movement to assist GRCAM members who are having difficulties in America. I understand that you're trying to accomplish your life goals, and I want to help you reach your life goals. That's the basis of GRCAM. In GRCAM, you will understand your purpose in life, because we're going to, share, about the spiritual component of it, those that's, on the spiritual level. We are as a people and how we can make an impact in our community and on the African continent. And this is more than just a new business endeavor. Again, this is personal. I don't like all of this dysfunction that I'm seeing in Black America, and I'm going to do something about it through this Christian business by connecting with other like-minded Black Americans, like-minded African immigrants, like-minded Afro-Caribbeans, and like-minded Afro-Latinos. Together, we can build Greater Chicago. So help me God. For example, in the American Jewish community, they have built their own institutions and industries. That is what I'm trying to do in this business. I want us to move from behind the computer, starting in Chicago. But I need smart boots on the ground. The only way I see that happening is by getting our film project fully funded and made first, and the proceeds from the film will put me in a better position financially, so that way I can hire qualified Black middle-class professionals and African immigrants in America. GRCAM members, we will control and own our own resources, our own culture. Then we can expand this to the African continent, because we have a real Black institution called the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago. that Black Americans, African immigrants, Afro-Caribbeans, and Afro-Latinos will help build. That's our credibility. Please leave a public comment on my YouTube page about the topic. Most of all, share this video podcast with your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. Our second topic, solving the diaspora conflict by pointing out anti-Black American sentiment from African immigrants and Afro-Caribbeans in America. We're going to touch on a sensitive topic within Black culture. That is the root cause of anti-Black American sentiment among African immigrants and Afro-Caribbeans living in America. I listed several videos on my Medium transcript as it pertains to the issue. I've never experienced this level of anti-Black American sentiment before, especially coming from African immigrants and Afro-Caribbeans. After watching several of these videos, I was trying to figure out where this is coming from. Before I plan on expanding GRCAM Chicago to the African continent, I want to make sure that GRCAM members confront these types of issues head on. Truth be told, at this time, we're not in a position to fight against white supremacy because we got to heal internally with the issues that we got going on. I know that these videos are not a representation of all Afro-Caribbeans and African immigrants, but we're gonna point those things out. On this platform, we try to balance. This is why we want this to be a unity conversation among our people and our audience. Just understand, if you come over here with this extremely hostile attitude toward Black Americans, then don't bother trying to get involved with this organization that I'm trying to get off the ground. The purpose of GRCAM of Chicago is to bring Black Americans and African immigrants together. The U.S. Embassy selects certain people to come over here. Do you really think they're going to select people like Julius Malema or Professor P.L.O. Lumumba? The white supremacist financial elites prefer to bring over people like Candace Owens or the Roland Martin's crowd to be our so-called spokespersons. But the issue is they're not from our lineage, descendants of American slaves. The video from Daily Wrap-Up Crew podcast shows that African immigrants are the firstborn generation in America. They're not in their homeland. They're over here in America. They said their parents told them to stay away from Black Americans and don't marry Black Americans. First of all, Black Americans never colonized anyone. We haven't stolen anyone's natural resources, nor have we invaded and destabilized anyone's country. But the white supremacist financial elites, they have a track record of doing that. This is why they're trying to whitewash their negative history. But thank God we live in the information age. We didn't steal anyone's artifacts and put them in museums. The Europeans did. When African governments demand the return of their artifacts, those same European nations that colonized Africa tell them that they could loan them the artifacts which they stole in the first place. Make it make sense. Notice that African immigrants and Afro-Caribbeans have no hatred for the people that colonized and enslaved them, but they have a lot of smoke towards Black Americans. That's a shame. I believe some of them hate us because some of them are descendants of tribes that sold our ancestors into slavery during the slave trade. Now we're in a better position as a lineage to get our reparations from the U.S. government, American corporations, and the Catholic Church. Look at Black Americans have done in America under oppression. Imagine what we could do in 10 African nations. Black Americans built the White House and the Capitol in Washington, D.C. Black Americans built the roads and bridges way before the Chinese came here. Black Americans as a collective have $1 trillion of spending power. Africa have access to the world's most resource beneath their feet in terms of diamonds, gold, and minerals. Yet all these other groups in Africa, such as Arabs, Chinese, East Indians, and Europeans, are taking their natural resources. They own a majority of the businesses, and yet you come over here to America and in Europe while foreigners are trying to recolonize your homeland. What's wrong with this picture? These Western nations wouldn't be where they are today without African resources, but you would rather sit up here and hate on Black Americans. Then you wonder why all these other groups call us the N-word. This is why it's important for every Black person on my friends list to join GRCAM and help get this film project fully funded and made. Europe has an African immigrant crisis because they continue to steal resources from Africa, and they're destabilizing African nations so they can live a first world lifestyle. But they are not upset with the former colonizers that started all this mess in the first place. They are not upset with the European Union or the World Bank. No one can justify anti-Black American sentiment. We have not collectively harmed any group of people. Before they came to our continent, they were living in squalor in Europe. They had nothing going on until they got around us. Let's keep it a buck. The Arabs enslaved Africans in East Africa before the Europeans arrived. Europeans learned from the Arabs, and they began colonizing Africa in 1884 during the Berlin Conference. Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Great Britain. All of these are the European nations that colonized Africa and who also enslaved my ancestors and forced them to come to the New World and build the United States of America. No other group of people on earth is hated more than Black Americans for no reason. We haven't done nothing to anyone. Over here, our objective is to get our film project fully funded and made so that GRCAM members can build GRCAM Chicago so that we can start doing business with Africa, the Caribbean, and Brazil. Black America has been the global leader in the global voice of the diaspora. Some people don't like it when we say that. We have been put in the work. We didn't ask to be in this position, but because of our fight and collective struggle, we're the only group that's not trying to assimilate with white supremacy. Sexy red is a symptom of what's happening after the constant war against the Black family by the white supremacist financial elites after the civil rights era under the war against poverty and the war on drugs, which gave rise to school to prison pipeline, which was a result in mass incarceration of black males. African immigrants would want to work with us so that we can leave America and return back to Africa to help improve the social conditions of our people by bringing our businesses, our talents, and creating jobs for local Africans so that they can do international trade with Black Americans and blacks that's in the Caribbean as well as in Brazil. Liberate Africa from those neo-colonizers by getting rid of all those sellout Africans leaders that was, I would say, selected by the white supremacist financial elites in order to build a black utopia. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode. Please join GRCAM by joining either my Christian groups, Light of the World Inspirational Group, or Christian Spoken Word Network, or join my secular groups, GRCAI of Africa, GRCAI of Chicago, or New Black Voices of Media, etc. Also exchange emails with me so that we can stay connected, because this is my third Facebook page, Hackers Are Forever Bugging. Please leave a public.
All right. So what happened is that my machine suddenly shut down, but that's okay. All I'm saying in a nutshell is this is side A. We're going to do side B. I want everyone to watch this video podcast first before you call into the show, because back in the day, people used to try to call in and, you know, they want to talk off topic. We stand focused on what I talked about on side A. And if anyone come on here talking other than that, I'm just going to delete them off my friends list. And, you know, it is what it is. Again, I can't make anyone buy my revised book. I can't make anyone buy my virtual items from my virtual store. And frankly, I can't make anyone donate to our film project. That's a personal choice. But again, don't blame the white man, because that's a weak excuse. That's a personal choice that you have. You meaning my viewers and listeners. God knows this is the roughest situation that I have ever been in my life, but somebody has to do it. And I thank the Lord Jesus Christ for calling me, especially in this day and age. I'm on video now, so I can reach beyond these small-minded individuals here that's in my city. My message is now global. And I created a virtual organization. So you don't have to be located here in Chicago or in America, because we're online. But my thing is, I want my group members worldwide to go ahead and stand up. Don't claim that you're a GRCAM member and you're just there in my groups just to be seen, and you're waiting around for us to eventually blow up and start making money and being successful, and then want to come around and start talking about that you're a GRCAM member. That's a lie. That's how come I want to have that physical building, so that way we can start screening people, because there's a lot of people that's in my social groups just there to be seen, and that's fine. I'm going to treat you the same way you have been treating me. I'm going to ignore you. That's just how I get down. Over here, we're about solving problems, not just sitting up here complaining. And again, my hands is tied. You know, I mean, I wish that I had this the resources. I wish I didn't even have to do a film. I wish that book would have been on the bestsellers list, but it's been on Amazon for 12 Years. So that goes to show that America, Black America, isn't really serious about a solution. They're not. All they want basically is a pat on the head from the white supremacist financial elites. You know, truth be told, I'm just keeping it a buck. All I can say is those of you that want to remain in America, being treated as third, fourth, and fifth class citizens, to each his own. As for me and my house, I claim, or I reclaim my ancestral homeland, Africa. But before I cut and run to Africa, like I said, I want to make sure I get this business popping here in America first for credibility. Turning that business over to, you know, qualified Black middle class professionals and African immigrants here in the city of Chicago. And then we're going to expand, or quote unquote, I'm going to expand my business to the African continent. Now, I do want all my members to realize too, and I'm saying this publicly, Sister Renee has been working with me behind the scenes for the past 12 years, and I love her dearly. But I want people, we got to get it popping here in Chicago first, and we're going to dedicate a special thanks to Sister Renee. We're going to have a chapter in West Memphis, Arkansas, in dedication of Sister Renee. That's one of the things that I want to do for her, to reward her publicly. But we got to get it popping here in Chicago first. I'm not some dude that's, you know, in some type of fantasy land and all that stuff. I'm trying my best to make my vision and plans to turn into a reality. Again, I have a business, but I got all the paperwork done, and I have to pay fees every year for the business title. I've been paying since 2010. That's not cool, but I'm doing that because I believe that we're going to eventually get this thing up and running, and I can go ahead and hire people, but I'm not in a position financially to do that. That's why I have to do this film. Again, anybody that don't care about what I'm talking about, if you think this is all, you know, fun and games, and, you know, you don't care about our kids being slaughtered in the inner cities, just delete me off your friends list. That's all. And don't come to no events with my name on it. That's real. That's all I'm saying. And that's how come I want to have that physical building, so that way you can see me in real life. You're going to meet me in person if you're a member. Some people say, oh, Emmanuel, you should go around the country, you know, to promote your book and all that stuff. I'm on a shoestring budget. And those same people that want to give me those that ill advice, they're not buying the book. They're not buying items from my virtual store. So I just tell them to, you know, I'm not asking you for your advice. And plus, if you ain't a member, your advice don't mean jack to me. So that's how I am. I want to connect with people that really want to work with me. And also, you have to understand, this business is not about me. This is about our Black youth and the unborn Black youth that's going to be that's going to come to this planet. And so I'm thinking in terms of for the next 75 years. That's how I get down. I think ahead of time. But I'm doing my best to sow that seed. Also, I'm in between churches. I'm being real about that. I had some bad experience, you know what I'm saying? But this is my ministry right here. Once we have that physical building and we have this spiritual component, we're going to worship God freely. Those of you that's, you know, on that spiritual level. And also, if you're secular, that's fine. But you will respect our what we do. And everybody that comes through our doors is going to be checked, or we're going to vet everybody. And if I find out that I have any con artists in this business, we're going to put that person on our Judas list and hold that person accountable. Because we're about raising the bar. And I'm bringing this to the inner cities, the ghettos, those high crime, gang and drug infested communities. I'm not trying to cower behind a computer. I just want to make sure that I have the resources and manpower to make this happen. Anyone that I catch that rejected my vision and plan for the past 32 years doing mandatory orientation, I'm just gonna you're not gonna be a part of my business, point blank. And I will embarrass you. I swear on my mom's grave, because you know, I'm not on here playing games. This is my credibility. And so, like I say, again, I want to make sure before I cut and run that we get the business popping here in Chicago first. And I want to make sure I'm able to sustain myself in Africa before I cut and run. But again, this is what the grassroots community activist movement is all about. Connecting with like-minded Black Americans, like-minded African immigrants, like-minded Afro-Caribbeans, like-minded Afro-Latinos. Non-Black sympathizers, you all are welcome to join us, not as groups, but as individuals, because I don't see nobody stumping harder than us for reparations for descendants of American slaves. Everybody have an issue with that, but nobody's having an issue with all these illegal immigrants getting all the benefits. You know what I'm saying? Just for crossing the border, and they didn't put in any work, and they're breaking the law. But it is what it is, y'all. With that being said, I'm going to open up the phone lines, and this time I'm going to wait around. I'm going to do my best, because some of you, you know, have, and this is how it is, you know, we have a hard time trying to connect when I get callers, you know, on the Facebook Live. We'll just do the best that we can. I'm do my best to try to read some of your comments, but connect with me in the chat room, which is really is going to be in the comment section. And we'll do the best we can to see if you can get on live where you can be on the screen with me and speak with me that way. So you have to bear with me. I'm trying to learn how to do the StreamYard and Facebook Live, but the problem is they say that only one camera can be used, you know, when you're using Facebook Live and StreamYard. But we're going to do the best that we can. But thank you all for listening. Again, I'm going to continue to do this until I am able to raise the capital for this film project. Again, it's not God's fault. God already, he give us free will. And like I say, if it was up to me, everybody that's on my Facebook friends list would have a heart and compassion to take this stuff serious. Purchase the book. I appreciate that you read the book, because that's what this organization is all about. And I stand 10 toes down on everything I've written. Again, I'm not running for public office. Again, I don't care if people don't like me. I'm here for us to get this thing up and running, because the way we're going now, it's going to get worse, extremely worse for Black Americans. We're the ones that's going to be like the immigrants or foreigners in our own country that we built. But that's because of all this off-code behavior among Black Americans. And so that's how come I want to go ahead and expand my business to Africa. And that's why I want to apply for dual citizenship in South Africa. And also I want to do our second film in South Africa. And I want South Africans and people on the African continent to take me serious. I'm not going to be behind a computer like I am here now in America. But this is all my credibility. I'm putting it all out there. It's documented in terms of video. So you know who I am. You see my intentions are good. And I come before everyone with clean hands. And I expect the same. And anyone that's going to try to undermine us, we're going to have protocol in place to handle that and make an example out of those persons, because we're not bugging. We want to move forward, and we want to do positive things. We see that during the pandemic, Black America and Africa was not prepared. They had to depend on the West, the CDC, Center for Disease Control. They wasn't prepared. So I don't want us to be in that, continue to be in those type of positions where we have to depend on others. We have to have our stuff together and popping. And we have to root or weed ourselves away from the negative people that's among us, that's giving us the wrong information, that's trying to undermine us, that's in the pockets of the white supremacist financial elites. That's all. With that being said, I'm finna open up these phone lines. I'm gonna do my best, you know, and like I say, and those of you that's watching, if you're not even able to come on the show, don't fret. Leave public comments in the comments section. That's all I care about. And share. Most of all, share. I pray and pray too. Those of you that have faith, pray that this video podcast will go viral. Because I want to send a message to the global the global world. I want to put notice to the Black world that the grassroots community activist movement, we challenge Pan-Africanism, because Pan-Africanism isn't working. It's nice to have big ideas, but they took God out of it. Over here, God is involved. Matter of fact, it was Jesus/Joshua that gave me this vision. And I can prove it if given a chance. All we got to do is do those things that I wrote in the book. So with that being said, yes, we're not just sitting up here just to be running off at the mouth. We want to create a real business to put money in your pockets. Those of you that's, you know, smart, those that want more out of life, those are the ones I want to work with. Those that's not about jack, those that don't have any ambitions, those that just want to exist or want to be in the pockets of the white supremacists. You're not welcome over here. And if I find out anybody is like that, they will be placed on our Judas list. Everybody will know who they are, because that Judas list is going to consist of the person's photo ID, name, and address, as well as their thumbprint. So you don't want to get on there. I'm the wrong type of Negro to play with. I stand on everything I say, and I can back it up if given a chance. I challenge any Black politician within the United States of America, male or female. I challenge any Black preacher within the United States, male or female. Put me to shame. Come on my podcast and get on camera and debate me. Debate me. Put me to shame. With that being said, phone lines are now open. We're heading to, this is called now side B for Q&A. All right.